Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the tavern. It's day 3 of our 6-part series. Jack and I are happy to be here. And this is part 3 of a 6-part series on the Biden-Sanders Manifesto, also known as the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force recommendations. We hope you had a chance to listen to sections 1 and 2. If you haven't, please go back and listen because it all fits in together. Segment 1, we talked about combating the climate crisis and pursuing environmental justice.
We're no scientists.
With no scientists. In segment 2, we talked about protecting communities by reforming our criminal justice system.
Unarming them.
It's crazy, sending unarmed people to deal with mental health patients. Again, all this can be found on our website at fedupwithpolitics.com. And also find us on Facebook, United States Constitutional Group. So for today, our section 3, we're going to be talking about building a stronger, fairer economy. So Jack, you have any opening thoughts? And what did you think about our first 2 sections that we went over? I hope people are listening closely because this is very important.
Well, what I think about these things is, as I read them, I feel myself getting dumber. Because dumb people wrote these.
I get more and more frustrated every time I do this.
Just one time, I wish these elected officials would go and do what they're supposed to do, which is not change our society, but make it better. I think they forgot what they're supposed to do.
Right. I think they did, too. I mean, if Democrats pass this radical agenda, our country's going down a road that we don't want to go.
Yeah. I do want to remind everybody we have a store open, fedupwithpolitics.com. We'll bring you to our webpage for the United States Constitutional Group, where you can join, get a grassroots going. It'll also give you a link to our podcast, Meet at the Tavern, and it'll give you a link to our store. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now with our logo on it, United States Constitutional Group. Educate yourself, read the Constitution, Meet at the Tavern.
We have a lot of information on that on our webpage. You can download the Federalist Papers. You can download the U.S. Constitution. You can download your state constitutions. You can find out who your legislators are for your congressional members. Just have to do a little bit of maneuvering around it, and
You can see what books me and Dennis are reading. Some of them are fantastic. The one book is going to be timeless and always there, so we don't put it up, and that's the Declaration of Independence. And, well, that's on there. And the Constitution, they're both on there. You can download them and read them. But we don't put it down as recommended reading because you should be reading.
The Constitution, its origins and recommendations. I think I'm just up to chapter 21 now. And that has been an eye-opening experience to read that. And that was a great book. Everybody should get a chance to read that.
Yeah, wait till you read chapter 22. It shows you where it all started.
That's next. So you don't have to go far within this document to show that these Democrats are lying even before they get going. And that's the first paragraph. Our economy is not working for the American people. In a matter of weeks, the abject failure of the President Trump and his administration to competently respond to COVID-19 pandemic erased all the job gains made since the Obama-Biden administration pulled the country out of a Great Recession and plunged the economy into recession once more. So of course, I had to do some research on that, and regarding the Obama-Biden administration. And under Obama, 2.1 million jobs were lost while he was president. They're right when they say the economy is not working for the American people. It does work for corporate America. And under Obama, corporate wealth went up 55%. But yet they want to tax the rich. I don't blame them for that, but Democrats have let the rich get richer. Not just the Republicans. They failed to tell us that when more and more went to corporate America under Obama. But at least they admit the economy was fundamentally flawed even before the coronavirus hit. Let's not make any mistake. The failure of this economy begins with every administration. and the lies from our congressional leaders. They are tasked to fix the economy, to create incentives for people, to create jobs and opportunities for people to open up businesses, and they have failed us miserably. They talk about all these, well, we'll use shovel-ready jobs. Where are they, Jack?
Well, first they have to open the factory that makes the shovels.
Yeah.
They forgot that part. So here we have an Economy Unity Task Force recommendations. Building a stronger, fairer economy. Okay? Now remember, this is supposed to be, which you know it wasn't, a discussion between Sanders and Biden. So let's go back to Sanders and Biden. Now these people want to make you a stronger, fairer economy. All right? Now I owned my own business. And the hardest thing in the world to do is to produce a dollar. Between labor, taxes, budgets, whatever you have to, machinery, whatever your industry takes care of, to get a dollar out of there is incredibly hard. So, let's see. Joe Biden, last time he had a private sector job was in the 60s. He's been a senator. He's been in government for over 50 years. All right? So how many dollars has he produced? None. Sanders, when was the last time he had a private sector job? I think he was a lifeguard when he was a kid.
I don't think he ever had a job.
No.
He lived off welfare.
Biden never had a job, never produced a dollar, never contributed to the economy. Neither one of these men have ever contributed to the economy. Not one time in their life. Biden's 78 years old. He's almost 80 years old and never contributed to the economy. Sanders is in his 70s. 70s. Never contributed to the economy one time. And you're going to tell me that these two guys can figure out how to make a stronger, fairer economy?
They have no clue. They have no clue at all. And it's not only them. Schumer's been in there for 30 years. Pelosi's been in there for 30 years. Nadler, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. It's all. There's all of them that are telling us what to do, and they have no clue themselves.
They have no idea how to run a business.
No, I totally agree with you.
They have no idea how to start I never got a paycheck from somebody that was poor.
Nope. So reading farther on down this Biden-Sanders manifesto, and this one hit the nail right on the head. They didn't even have to look hard. We lack competent, experienced, compassionate leaders in government. The American people suffer. That is 100% correct. We, the people, suffer the most from the mistakes of these congressional hacks. The laws they make every day, what they say to us every day, we suffer. They don't give a darn about us. All they care about is power and wealth. And with the Democrats, it's with this radical agenda. They're trying to push this agenda on us to keep power forever. We still don't know the origins of the coronavirus. I mean, all fingers are pointing toward China and everything. But the Biden administration seems to be letting it slip away. They don't care, folks.
Well, that's because China bought the United States for $1.5 billion.
Yep. So Democrats complain about the Trump administration didn't do enough to stop the pandemic. But during the whole crisis, Democrats would only criticize because they want to divide the nation. They want to put a wedge between people. Where were they with their ideas? All they want to do is criticize. They had zero ideas on how to get out of this pandemic.
Yeah, well, they kept saying follow the science. And their scientist on this was Fauci. And
we've all seen the emails about that.
And well, here's the problem with following. Okay, it goes. The first podcast we did on this was follow the science for climate change, but they didn't have any scientists. I have news for you. Fauci hasn't done science work in 40 years. He's been in a bureaucracy. He's a bureaucratic politician.
He's the highest paid bureaucrat.
He's the highest paid bureaucrat, and he's worked in the bureaucracy he has not done one. I don't know if this guy knows how to turn a doorknob handle to walk into a lab. Never mind telling me the science. So here's the science they're following. Again, it seems like the Democrats will only follow the science who they pay.
And if it pertains to them and their agenda. Like I said, we've all seen the emails with Fauci, Dr. Fauci. He lied to the American people. What's going to happen to him?
A true politician.
Yep, a true politician.
A true politician. Now, Podcast 2 is holding cops accountable. Well, what about this guy?
Right.
How many people did he cause to
lose their lives? We need to hold them all accountable.
How many days did he do any kind of lab work to let us know?
None. But he had some meetings with high-level people.
Yeah.
In this report, it states that Black Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, and women have suffered disproportionately due to the COVID-19 pandemic and President Trump's recession, and have so far received far less than their fair share of economic relief. I just want to talk about Native Americans here for a second. Because if you look back to the last round of stimulus checks, and when you hear these numbers, that have the money that's been given to our American Native Indian friends
who do not pay taxes,
right? Our Native Americans. The bill was H.R. 1319, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. It's the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. So $20 billion for federally recognized tribes. The final bill adds another $2 billion for counties and tribal governments. Tribal payments will be allocated by the Treasury Secretary, taking into account economic conditions of each eligible tribe. I'm not done. And this is all in the American Rescue Plan. It's on our website. Look at it for yourself if you don't believe us. Title 11, Committee on Indian Affairs. $900 million for Indian Affairs, including $772.5 million for tribal government services and assistance. $100 million to support tribal housing, and $20 million to facilitate potable water. $850 million for the Bureau of Indian Education. Another $6.1 billion for tribal health programs. $750 million available through 2025 for housing assistance and support services through Indian Community Development Block Grants, Native American Housing Block Grants, and Native Hawaiian Housing Block Grants, plus $20 million for the preservation of Native American languages. We're talking billions of dollars going to tribal governments. So show me where Native Indians are suffering from this coronavirus. Tell me that. I told you before. These radical Democrats, they twist words to confuse people, to make you feel they're smarter than us. Wake up and see through all their fairy tales, because their fairy tales are lies.
Yeah, and again, remember, these are sovereign people. They don't pay into our tax brackets.
Right.
So, all of those billions of dollars, when do we receive them back?
We don't.
Never. Why? Because they don't pay U.S. taxes. So how do we have a society? Yeah, I mean, we can go back and all the rights and all the wrongs of what happened with the American Indian and this and that. But if they want to stay sovereign, then why are they getting out billions of dollars?
Are we getting under your skin yet? Are we starting to piss you off?
You know what? The only thing that the American people did, our mistake, was getting these people elected.
That's right. There's no one else to blame except us. Your skin should be boiling. these radicals, admitted socialists, what they're trying to do to this country, it's not a game, folks. We need to wake up, or they will achieve their socialist agenda. You need to get involved. You need to invite your family and friends. We all need to stand united, because the only ones that benefit from building a stronger, fair economy that we can see are these politicians. And they already make enough money. Half of them are millionaires. Half of them are millionaires on a $180,000 salary. Protecting workers and families and creating millions of jobs across America. Americans do deserve a better economy that works for everyone. That's absolutely true. Not just for the wealthy and the well-connected, but our system is rigged against the American people. It's rigged in favor of our politicians. Again, $180,000 salary, and they become millionaires while in Congress. Let that sink in, folks. $180,000 salary every year, and they're millionaires.
Who are they to say where goes what? I don't understand. I don't understand where this train left the tracks. We have very few representatives that have done anything in the economy for most of their adult life. We'll have to look into that number, because I bet you there are it's probably just a couple of handfuls out of the hundreds and hundreds, almost 1,000 representatives that have actually pushed a pencil, grabbed one of those shovel-ready jobs that didn't exist, worked their way through, and can say, I know, I was there. There's no empathy in Washington, D.C., because they've never walked in our shoes.
In these Biden task force recommendations, they say they want to create millions of jobs across America. They're going to be in clean energy, renewable energy, and we're just about 5 months into the the Biden administration, and I don't see any jobs yet. Do you?
Well, not only are there no jobs, these are, all the jobs that are coming back into the economy were put there by Trump. They were lost because of the pandemic, because they said we had to shut the economy down for 2 weeks. Well, once the Democrats got a hold of it, they never opened it again. This was their kumbaya. We got it, guys. We have everybody right where we want them. It was only supposed to be closed for 2 weeks, and everything was supposed to open up again. So any job creation that's coming about this time was already here during the Trump administration. So they're not producing any new jobs. And the jobs that they're saying that they want to make do not exist. We said that in the first podcast of this. They don't exist. These energy jobs don't exist. And according to them, these renewable energy are so cheap, how are you going to get a good salary working in that industry if it costs you nothing to use that energy?
We talked about Solandra in our first podcast and giving them $500 million, and they were supposed to create thousands of jobs. Never transpired. We lost $500 million.
Well, whenever you have the government betting on a horse, that horse is never going to come in.
So the Biden administration has not created any new jobs yet. Where are they? There isn't any.
They don't even know how to produce these jobs.
It's a pipe dream.
These jobs don't exist. This industry doesn't exist.
Right.
And they don't know how to make it exist because they don't know how to create an economy. That's why this government was founded on capitalism. So the people that do know can do it. Why do you think there's no high-speed railroad in the United States? Because the person that's going to do it is going to be your next billionaire.
Yep.
Look at Elon Musk. He's up and down in favor. He was going to go on Saturday Night Live. There were so many liberals that did not want him on Saturday Night Live because he's a billionaire who conquered what they wanted, electric cars. So he did it, and now he's a billionaire. So the Democrats aren't going to let a high-speed railroad go because it's going to take an entrepreneur, and he's going to become a billionaire.
We do deserve a better system. We do. This Biden-Sanders manifest, their task force recommendations, unity task force recommendations, it's 110 pages long. 110 pages of mostly ridiculous, Democratic ideas that will never get passed?
I don't know. I mean, how hard did we laugh when AOC came on TV and talked about the new Green Deal? We thought, listen to this woman. Well, you want to know something?
It's closer.
Right. Very close. It's very close.
So again, this 110-page document's on our website. You know, Democrats will fight to raise wages for working people. That's what they say. And improve job quality and security, including raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Me personally, I'm going to tell you why this is false. And they don't care if it ever gets raised. Should people wait 100% agreement right now? The party in majority in Congress is Democrats. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right. And not only Congress, they got the Senate, right?
Right.
And they have the White House.
And they have the fourth branch of bureaucracies.
What's that? The constituents?
No, the bureaucracies that they developed so they don't have to do their job anymore.
Right.
They're all Democratic leaning too.
So Democrats are in control, not the Republicans. All right? They have all branches of the government. So they have the opportunity to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour without Republican support. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, it looks that way.
They want you to think they don't have the votes and they only want to do bipartisan support. Why is it they don't want bipartisan support on anything else? But when it comes to raising the minimum wage, they want that.
Because when a small business goes out of business,
Right.
it could be the Republicans' fault.
They want to do away with the filibuster. They won't work on it. They'll talk about it and make you think they're doing something about it. But they know, as Jack just said, corporate America will push back on the minimum wage agenda. They'll stop giving them campaign contributions. They'll stop supporting them. That's why this minimum wage increase will always be talk. It's never going to be acted on. They can do it, but they won't. Just wait and see. Because when Biden leaves office, I don't believe the minimum wage is going to go up to $15 an hour.
No. Minimum wage will hit $15 an hour when the economy needs it to be $15 an hour, which hopefully it never gets here. Because if it goes to $15 an hour, that means inflation is so high that $15 an hour will go back to when I was a kid and minimum wage was $2.30. That's, it'll be the same equivalent as that. When you're giving somebody a job that requires minimum wage, what job is that? That's a high school job. That's a kid learning what the workplace is all about. They're starting at minimum wage so that there's laws against free labor and they get a minimum wage and they learn. They learn what a good boss is. They learn what a bad boss is. They learn what a fair boss is. They understand equity in their bank account. They learn all of these things. But Democrats don't want kids to learn that because then they don't learn how to balance a checkbook.
They'll be educated.
If a kid learns how to use a checkbook, I guess it was about 6 years ago I saw a report. College students were causing $50 billion a year in overcharge in their banks when they got rid of checks and went to these ATMs because they don't understand what a checking account is. It's not a savings account. That's not money that you have saved. That's money that's meant to be used to survive.
Pay your bills.
And they don't. They buy video games with it. They buy dinner out with it. And then they run out of money and they call their parents and say, hey, I can't buy lunch today.
It's happening all across America. Democrats...
$50 billion, Dennis, in one part of society. Mm-hmm. College students. Not high school students, not people on their own. Just kids.
18 to 24-year-olds.
Right.
Yep. Democrats say they're committed to a comprehensive agenda to achieve racial equality. That means improving economic mobility for people of color including by addressing the racial wealth gap. That's something?
Well, the only thing I have about the racial wealth gap, I have two things. I might be jumping ahead on this a little bit, but this is what I know. First off, in this thing here, it says in the third paragraph, building a strong and fair economy. The racial wealth gap that holds millions of Americans back, with a typical white household holding 10 times more wealth than a typical black family. The reason why that's true is because of the Jim Crow laws that happened up until the 60s. And then when they filibustered and we got those bills passed, we had more politicians coming in that we went over in one of our podcasts, people like Biden that voted for the busing and all. So these Democrats kept that part of society in a lower rung up until through the 80s. So they're starting out 200 years later than we are. And they had their best chance in the last administration when black unemployment was at its lowest ever. There's your blame, folks. It says it right there. Now they have women still earn just 82 cents to every dollar men earn. Now, the way they figure that out is a lifetime scale. So they take men's work career, let's say it's 30 years, and a woman's. And they average out all those years, divide it. This is what men make. Take all the women's, over 30 years, divide it. That's what women have. Now, women in the workplace, historically, have to take time out of their career. They have children. They can't work from the hospital. They're bringing life into this world. Very important job, probably the most important job. Bringing children into the world, raising them, and they take time out of their salary. So if you take your average over a lifetime of employment and you have the women that have to take this time off, they're going to make less than the average.
You know, they say about there's.
Did that make sense?
It does. It does. You know, they say about people getting to work and not being paid the same. They want racial equality in the way people make money. But I'm going to give you an example right here in South Carolina, specifically Myrtle Beach to Georgetown. It's God's country. The Grand Strand, there's no better place to be. It's about 40 miles long, and it's on Highway 17. And there are several businesses, a lot more than I care to count. And outside these establishments, you know what there are? Help wanted signs. People are desperately looking for people to work for him. I've seen the pay advertised between $11 and $17 per hour. You know what I don't see, Jack? I don't see if you're white, I'm going to pay you this. If you're black, I'm going to pay you that.
Man or woman?
Man or woman. What you get paid?
There's no stereotype in that sign.
None. You go in, you're going to get paid based off your experience. So if I want to go to Arby's, I've never worked at an Arby's. You know what I'm going to get paid? $11 an hour. But if someone else, a female, comes in and worked at the Arby's next door, she'll probably be paid $14 an hour. And that's right. That's the way it should be. But these businesses are having a hard time finding anyone to work for them because the federal government pays them more to stay home.
And if you don't believe that, I went down to the beach Thursday, and there was a red flag up. So I asked the lifeguard. I said, we have riptides or something? The red flag's up?
Okay.
She goes, no. She goes, we have strong currents, though. They are strong. I said, riptides? She goes, no, they're not riptides. She goes, they're strong, though. She goes, but the main reason that red flag is up is because I'm here. And then she says, the next lifeguard is down by the pier, which is 2 miles down.
Dang.
2 miles away from my house is the next lifeguard because nobody came back to work the seasonal job of being a lifeguard because the job they had during off the season, they got unemployment and they're getting that extra government money. Thank God the governor of South Carolina said that's going to end July 1st. They're not getting that anymore. And she said, hopefully we'll get more lifeguards after July 1st. They'll come back.
When you put two and two together, if you can work less and get more by doing nothing, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. I'd stay home too.
Yeah.
You
have people out there that had paying jobs and is upset because there's other people that are taking advantage of this coronavirus payment to stay home, have quit their job in these liberal states. Now you say if you quit your job, you can't get unemployment, or if you get fired for certain reasons. But these liberal states, they don't ask for a reason. Oh, you're unemployed?
Good.
Here you go. Here's your state unemployment, and here's your federal, too.
We'll get reimbursed by the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the problem is, besides the federal government, is people harp too much on the word minority. If race really didn't matter, they would take it off all applications. Because there's only really one race, the human race.
Amen to that.
I've always said this. If you have more experience than me, more schooling than me, you should get the job over me. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter. That's just the way a business works. They're there to make money. And they should recruit the best possible people to help them achieve that. That's capitalism, not socialism. It's not a failure of our current business owners. It's a failure of our elected officials again and again failing us.
Yeah. You know what color business sees?
Green.
Right. They don't care where you're from. But if you're going to produce more than the next guy, you got the job.
That's right.
Because remember, the hardest thing in the world to do is to produce $1. And if you're going to make this person that owns this business many dollars, you got it.
My ex-sister-in-law owns 3 businesses in New York.
I don't know how she does it.
I don't either, because it is tough. She owns 3 restaurants, and they're all pretty darn successful. But I don't know how she does it. I got a lot of respect for her. Another area in this Biden-Sanders task force recommendations is union organizing and bargaining. Repeal right to work, ensure recognition of unions with majority sign-up, and restored by secondary boycott. Folks, I was in a union for 22 years when I worked in corrections. And Jack, you were like 30 years?
Nah, I vested out. I started my own business.
And unions are good and bad. I mean, the good part is they stand up for the silent majority with grievances about workplace issues. They fight for get your pay raises so people can have a collective bargain agreement so employers just can't fire you for any reason. So that's good. I agree with that. But it's also bad. It takes several steps to get rid of an unproductive employee that is lazy and doesn't want to do their job and watching everyone else perform to higher standards. The Democrats want to make joining a union mandatory. You know what that means? That means you have to pay union dues. And some union dues could be $15 to $30 per paycheck. So $30 a month, that's $360 a year for a family taken out of your paycheck. So if you're struggling, especially during times like these, that's wrong. You shouldn't be mandated to join a union. So Jack and I, we're here in South Carolina. We're a right-to-work state. And I can care less if they ever formed a union. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks, go to work, do the best job we can. And that's what everybody should do. When I worked in New York, I worked as a security officer. I worked with a guy named, his name was Rico. He's around 60 years old, Hispanic guy. And he always said to me, Dennis, they may not pay you well here, but your work is your signature. Do the best you can, and you will always have a job. I think Rico is 100% right. So we're just about to end our 3rd segment. So again, go to our website, fedupwithpolitics.com, and download this Biden-Sanders Manifesto. So, Jack, you have any final thoughts?
Organized labor has very important attributes to this country. It righted a lot of wrongs that were in the labor world. Kids, no overtime, and we have federal laws now that protect you for that. But there are certain places, like if you look historically the South will make less money than the North and the West, the mid-country, the middle of this country. And what organized labor does is it forces the employer to open their books and show what their profit margin is and what they can afford to pay their employees fairly. What organized labor doesn't do is take care of all their members. I had a friend of mine that had a trade, and the economy was doing very well, and he had to take some time off so the union can get guys out of the union hall and get to work. And these are guys that play the system. They understand how often they have to go to work before they get kicked off of their unemployment and the other funds that they get from their unions. And I was asking, listen, the economy is doing terrific right now, and you're getting laid off now. What's going to happen when the economy isn't good? And then these union delegates, they're almost like politicians now. They're very powerful. They make a lot of money. And when you go to them with a problem, like, listen, I'm still paying into my union, because if you're out of work, you still have to pay the union. So it's not bad to pay the union when you're working, because you're going to make a good living. But when you're not working and you still got to pay, and their attitude is, well, I got mine, you don't have yours, someday maybe you can have this. If the union is not able to keep you in work, then they shouldn't get paid.
Correct. So I don't think we'll even debate the fact that we need to build a stronger, fair economy. We only disagree with the way the Democrats want to do it in a radical way. They're trying to do it.
They want to give it to the government.
Right.
And instead of paying union guys, you're going to pay them, because who does the union pay?
The government.
Right.
They're trying to do it through their deceit and through their lies. We're not a systemic country. We're not racist. We're not systemic racist. It's a bold-faced lie.
Well, they were with the Jim Crow laws, but we know who was running that.
Yep.
And the illegal busing.
No, we're not trying to scare you. We're not trying to scare you at all. We're trying to give you our take on what's happening out there and what these Democrats are trying to do. So that wraps up Section 3, building a stronger, fairer economy. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about providing a world-class education in every zip code. I think that's something we can agree on. So again, check us out, the United States Constitutional Group. Check out our website, fedupwithpolitics.com. Check out our merchandise store. And remember this, knowledge is power. We'll see you next time, actually tomorrow at the tavern.